Imagine standing in a crowded airport terminal, ticket in hand, bone-tired from a week that felt like it stretched on for a year. All you want is to find your seat on the plane, listen to the steady hum of the engines, and drift into a well-earned rest. But suddenly, what should have been a routine boarding spirals into an unexpected confrontation. A gate agent steps into your path, blocking you with a sharp question that cuts deeper than it should. Do you even belong here? You can feel the onlookers' stares, hear the whispers. Tension thickens in the air, until an unlikely figure steps forward, changing everything. This is a story about prejudice, hidden power, and a moment of karmic justice you won't forget. A delayed flight, a deliberate insult. Olivia Munro had flown more times than she could count in her 41 years. As a renowned tech investor and the largest private shareholder in Airlines, Olivia was no stranger to the plush world of airport lounges, priority boarding, and the subtle nods of acknowledgement from executives who understood her clout. Her life was a constant balancing act between billion-dollar decisions and the quiet strength she wielded behind closed doors. Yet on a heavy, humid July afternoon at Houston Crestline International, none of that seemed to matter. Standing at Gate B27, Olivia was dressed impeccably in a navy-tailored pantsuit and low, practical heels. Her long, dark curls were pulled back in a sleek ponytail, and she exuded a quiet confidence that came from decades of boardroom victories. Her carry-on rested neatly at her side as she scrolled through her phone. A notification popped up. Her flight to Chicago was delayed due to a late inbound aircraft. Around her, other passengers groaned in frustration. Olivia barely blinked. A delay was an inconvenience, sure, but nothing she couldn't handle. She was about to take the extra time to clear a few urgent emails when she noticed a pair of eyes lingering on her. At the gate desk stood Bridget Hale, a middle-aged woman in an Aerostar uniform, her tightly pinned blonde hair and clipped posture giving her an air of strict authority. Bridget's name badge gleamed like a badge of honor pinned over her heart. She was scanning the crowd, but her gaze kept returning to Olivia. When Olivia approached to inquire about any possibility of an earlier connection, Bridget's expression tightened. "Can I help you?" Bridget asked. Her tone made it clear she wasn't particularly interested in helping. Olivia offered her most practiced professional smile. "Yes, I'm traveling on flight 427 to Chicago, seat 1C. Just checking to see if there's an earlier option, given the delay." Bridget's eyes narrowed. Without a word, she extended her hand, palm up, in a silent demand for Olivia's boarding pass. Olivia handed over her phone, the digital pass already pulled up. Bridget studied it longer than necessary. She said under her breath, loud enough for Olivia to hear, but low enough to feign innocence. "Sure you are." Olivia's brows lifted slightly. "Yes," she replied, her tone level. "I am." Bridget clicked through her computer with deliberate slowness. Finally, she looked up, voice raised just enough for those nearby to hear. "It says here you're on the wait list for an upgrade. First class is full." A few passengers shifted and murmured. Olivia felt the heat of their stares. Humiliation prickled at the back of her neck, but she held her composure. She had confirmed this seat days ago, had an email to prove it, and yet suddenly Bridget was claiming she didn't belong in 1C? "I have confirmation," Olivia said evenly. This seat was confirmed. Paid in full. Bridget shrugged, lips curving into a faint smirk. "You'll have to speak with customer service about that." Olivia frowned. Something wasn't right. Behind the scenes, a deeper problem. Pulling back from the counter, Olivia immediately called her executive assistant, Jenna Lee. If anyone could get to the bottom of this, it was Jenna. "Are you kidding me?" Jenna's voice exploded through the phone. "You're confirmed in 1C. I have the email, the receipt, everything. Give me 10 minutes. Olivia forwarded the documentation to Jenna, her fingers steady even as irritation simmered beneath the surface. A few minutes later, Olivia approached a different customer service rep at the adjacent counter, a younger man named Trevor Mills. She calmly explained the situation. Trevor frowned and quickly pulled up the reservation on his screen. "I see what's wrong," he said. "You were downgraded to 32B, but there's no reason listed." "That's..." Unusual. He glanced at Bridget, who was overseeing the flight. Let me check with her. Olivia watched as Trevor approached Bridget. Their conversation was brief, but Bridget's dismissive gestures spoke volumes. Trevor returned, his expression uneasy. "Ms. Monroe," he said hesitantly. "Please wait here. We're looking into it." Olivia crossed her arms. "I certainly hope so." Passengers around her whispered. Olivia hated being the center of a spectacle, especially when she wasn't in control of the narrative. This wasn't a boardroom where she could dictate terms. This was public, humiliating, and rapidly escalating. The power behind the scenes. Her phone buzzed again. "Jenna." "Liv, I spoke with Airline's executive resolution team," Jenna said. "Your seat was never downgraded. It's confirmed. This isn't a system error." Olivia's grip tightened on her phone. "Patch me through." Minutes later, Sarah Kendrick from the resolution department was on the line. "Ms. Monroe, I've updated the manifest. You are absolutely confirmed in seat 1C. There was no record of any downgrade." "Thank you," Olivia said. "Please make sure the gate agent has that information." Olivia waited another 30 seconds before stepping back toward the gate. The first-class line was nearly empty now. As she approached, Bridget's gaze hardened. "I already told you," Bridget said, arms crossed. "You're not in first class." "If you check the updated manifest," Olivia replied evenly, "you'll see seat 1C is assigned to Olivia Monroe." Bridget sighed heavily but turned back to her computer. After a few clicks, a brief flicker of realization crossed her face, quickly masked by a return to cool indifference. And then she pressed the intercom button. "Security to gate B27, Bridget announced. Olivia's heart pounded. Murmurs rippled through the crowd as two security officers arrived. Bridget pointed at Olivia. "This passenger is attempting to board without a valid ticket," she said. "A pilot takes charge." Before the officers could act, another voice rang out. "That won't be necessary." Captain Marissa Grant, the pilot of Flight 427, strode toward the counter. She was tall, composed, and radiated authority. "What's the problem here?" Bridget repeated her accusation. Captain Grant raised an eyebrow and turned to Olivia. "May I see your documentation?" Without hesitation, Olivia handed over her phone, displaying the confirmation email from Sarah Kendrick. The captain cross-referenced it on her tablet. "Seat 1C belongs to Ms. Monroe," Captain Grant said firmly. "There is no record of a downgrade." Bridget's face flushed red. "There is a glitch in the system," she insisted. "I was following orders." "Whose orders?" Captain Grant asked. Bridget hesitated. "I was told," she muttered but offered no names. Captain Grant shook her head. "Ms. Monroe, please follow me. We need to board." Olivia walked down the jet bridge, flanked by the security officers who now looked sheepish. Captain Grant ushered her to seat 1C personally. As Olivia settled into her seat, a flight attendant named Angela Reyes brought her water, her expression apologetic. "I'm sorry about the trouble, Ms. Monroe," she whispered. "We'll make sure your bags are stowed properly." A threat in the skies. 30 minutes into the flight, Olivia was reviewing documents on her tablet when a male flight attendant approached. His name tag read Josh. "Someone asked me to give this to you," he said, handing her a folded note. Olivia opened it slowly. In shaky handwriting, it read, "You may have one this round, but watch your back. You don't belong here." Her stomach dropped. Olivia signaled for Angela and handed her the note. Angela read it, her expression darkening. "I'll take this to the captain." Minutes later, Captain Grant returned. "I'm sorry you received this," she said quietly. "We'll do our best to ensure your safety." But Olivia knew the damage was done. Whoever had written it was on this plane. A new battle on the ground. By the time the plane landed in Chicago, Olivia was more determined than ever. She contacted Jenna as soon as she turned her phone back on. "Ryan Carter, Airline CEO, wants a meeting," Jenna reported. "Tomorrow morning." Olivia nodded grimly. "Good. Let's make sure he hears everything." The meeting that changed everything. The next morning, Olivia met with Ryan Carter and his executive team at Airline headquarters. Ryan apologized sincerely and laid out an immediate action plan. Bridget Hale was placed on leave, mandatory anti-bias training was being launched, and Olivia was invited to help shape the changes. Over the following weeks, Olivia worked closely with Airline's leadership. New policies were implemented: transparent seat reassignment logs, rapid discrimination investigations, and zero-tolerance protocols for biased behavior. 2 weeks later, Bridget was officially terminated after multiple employees confirmed a pattern of discriminatory behavior. The evidence was undeniable. A legacy of change. Olivia's story spread quickly, going viral as she publicly shared her experience, not for revenge, but to advocate for change. Her actions sparked a movement within the travel industry, prompting conversations about systemic discrimination. And for Olivia Munro, it wasn't just about reclaiming a seat. It was about ensuring every passenger had a rightful place in the sky.